Right, welcome to our event, Bridging the Gap. As you can see here, whilst we wait just a couple more minutes for anybody else who's going to join us, please try and get yourself something to write with and something to write on. If you prefer to type your ideas, you're more than welcome to. That to me counts as something to write with and something to write on. And we will start in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so I am going to make a start. Welcome to those that are joining us today. Here today we're going to be looking very much at how we make that change, how we bridge that gap, particularly with our reading skills, but also with our writing skills, getting from Key Stage 2 all the way up to Key Stage 3. So just bear with me. Literacy at Key Stage 3. This is where we really want to think about the kind of literacy that you're going to encounter. So when you come to secondary school, you're going to have more teachers, you are going to have more subjects, and you're going to be treated in a much more grown-up way. You will see similarities in how we do our reading, our writing, and our oracy tasks. But there's also going to be some differences where we adapt things to our subjects across the school. If you can develop your confidence in the similarities, then the differences won't be too much. Today I'm going to show you some of the similarities you can expect. These can be used with or without your teachers telling you to do it, so that you can start to develop your independence. Another thing which at secondary school we are very much aware that we're very much encouraging you to be developing. So some of the challenges that you may face with literacy is the range of things that we ask you to read, write and discuss. Also, your teachers will probably expect you to be able to do most literacy tasks with less preparation than you're probably used to at Key Stage 2. Some people will find this step up a challenge, but if you find it especially hard, then just let your teachers know and then they can flag you for some intervention, and I'll be more than happy to help you and guide you in the right way. Literacy comes into all of your subjects, so whenever your teachers are asking you to learn something from a written text or express your ideas in writing, or develop and express your ideas verbally, that is literacy, and we all recognise that as staff here at Wangels. Today we are going to read a passage about volcanoes. Now the reason I have chosen this is because even though I'm an English teacher, I am really quite fascinated by volcanoes. It was always my favourite topic when I was at school in geography and science lessons. Don't know why, just was. And that's why I've chosen it today. This is a piece of text aimed at Year 7 students, and together we're going to think about how we are going to break it down to get the information out of it that we need. Okay. Volcanoes. Whenever you're about to read something, the first thing I suggest you do is think about what you already know about the topic. So, what words are to do with volcanoes? I'm going to give you just 1 minute now to write down as many words as you can think of to do with volcanoes. If instead of writing it down, you would rather put it into the Q&A box, the chat box that we've got here, absolutely feel free to. It'd be lovely to see your ideas there. Okay, so it says 2 minutes on the screen. I've been mean and giving you 1 minute in my notes, but let's go with, no, oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, 1 minute to write down as many words as you can think of to do with volcanoes. Off you go. Okay, so I can see we've got some people sharing their ideas. Lava absolutely is one of the first things that comes to mind with volcanoes. Explosion, hot, ash, fire, burning, fantastic. If you just take a minute or even just 30 seconds to do that in your lessons, it will just help you to get prepared for what it is that you're about to read. So this here is called a word cloud. You may have seen one of these before. It's what you've just done. It's someone who's just spent some time writing down as many words as they can think of to do with volcanoes. So if you've got any of the words on there, and I can see that some people have some of the words on there already, that's fantastic. Well done. The next thing we're going to do is to think about any facts that we already know about volcanoes. My screens are not quite behaving themselves. Here we go. I'm going to give you 2 minutes now to write down any facts that you already know. Again, if you'd rather use the chat box, then please feel free. So, answers up there. That was basically 2 minutes. Off you go. As many things as you can think of about volcanoes. Okay, so I hope you've got some facts there about volcanoes. I'm not seeing much in the chat box. That's okay. Run away. There we go. Yes, run away if you see one. Definitely. Some more words: hot, red, rocks, fire, lava, chamber. Brilliant. Crater, mountain. They absolutely can kill you. You're quite right. And the lava comes all the way from the core to the volcano. Lovely. So some really, really good ideas just there. So here are some facts about volcanoes, that you may or may not have known. Like I say, this is something I just happen to really be interested in, so I thought I'd share it with you. But there you can see a number of things. And then someone else just said a volcano is a mountain. When the lava escapes the lava chamber, it blows off the top to make it look like a volcano. Yes, they're very, very similar things. With the volcano, it just has that release for the lava to come out from the top. So if you've got any of the facts that I've got there, or even anything like it, then very much well done to you. There are some really fascinating things there. The danger area around a volcano covers about 20 miles. 20 miles is quite a long way. From here, from Woodley, you can get to, I think, Windsor in 20 miles, possibly even a little bit further if you go as the crow flies. So there's a few different things there that you could look at. So when you're about to read something, I suggest that you think about what you already know about it to help you, as we have just done there. Okay, volcanoes. If we start by thinking what we already know about a topic, the next thing we really do is to predict what this particular text might tell us. Now, this piece of text that we're going to read today is about a specific eruption which happened in part of Africa in 2002. Here are some of the ideas, the kinds of information that we could find out in this text. If you've got any others, please do share in the chat box. But if I'm reading about a particular eruption, a particular event with a volcano, I'm probably going to find out in this piece of text where it is. I'm probably going to get a description of the volcano so that I know what it looked like, how it erupted. I might find out in detail what happened during the eruption. Now, that might be quite a scientific explanation. It could also be quite heavily descriptive with imagery. Could be a bit mixture of the two. I might find out what happened to the people, and I might find out the consequences of that particular eruption. Okay, so here is the first section of the text that we are going to look at today. Now, most pieces of the text that you come across in Key Stage 3 is going to be broken down by subheadings. Most of the non-fiction will be broken down by subheadings. Use this to guide you. Treat each section separately until you feel more confident. So I would take things bit by bit until you can get that bigger picture. Here, this is just the first section. There are subheadings dividing this up. I've just taken the first bit under the first subheading. So I'm going to give you a minute to read through these 4 sentences. As you read through, I want you to try to build what we call a mental model in your minds. So really think about, what does this look like? What is it telling me? And try to create this picture, this model in your minds. So I'll give you 1 minute. I know that this bit of text can be a little bit scary. There's some really strange words in there. But just spend some time now going through and having a go at reading it without doing the build-up activities that we are about to do. Off you go, 1 minute. Okay, now there are a number of things that would have made this a challenging bit of text to read. It'd be lovely if you could put in the Q&A box, what is it that makes this particular bit of text tricky to read? Any thoughts? I have a bit of a lag on my computer, so I'm never quite sure if I'm kind of done waiting. Some of the things that might have made this tricky could have been the number of proper nouns that I have in here. Proper nouns are the names of places or unique things that we have. It may have been some unfamiliar vocabulary, of which there is a fair bit. It may have been the third sentence, because it's a complex sentence, it might have made things tricky. Or it may have been the vocabulary which you know, but doesn't really make sense in this passage, because there's some homophones in there. And if you are finding a piece of text tricky, the thing to do is to try and pinpoint exactly which bit of it is making it hard to read. That way your teachers will be able to help you quite a bit more. Someone has said absolutely that it's the words that's hard to say. You're absolutely right. I feel that if I'm looking at a word, if it looks complicated, I'm very much put off by it. And sometimes if I break it down syllable by syllable, then it becomes a lot less intimidating. And sometimes when I do that, I go, oh, I do know that word, because it looks differently to how it sounds. So when you do see some words that are a little bit scary to look at, words that are hard to say, then definitely do take some time to try saying it out loud to yourself to see where it goes. Right, so let's have a look at these things that can make it tricky to understand. We're going to start with the proper nouns. Okay. It's best to work out, if we see a proper noun, it's best to work out if it is a place, or if it is a thing, or if it is a person. Okay. In this piece of text, we have the word Niragongo. We are told that this is a steep-sided volcano. Now, if I take away the modifiers from this noun phrase, I'm left with Niragongo is a volcano. So actually, if I can just strip back my sentences, so I'm left with what it is that my proper noun actually is, it'll make it a lot easier. So that's absolutely sorted. I know this is therefore the name of the volcano. Now I'm probably going to forget that as I read this text because there's a lot of big words in there. But if I remember where that is in the text, or if this is my own work, if I can underline it, then I know that that's going to be important and I can come back and find it again. Whenever I see this word, I can just replace it in my head with the volcano, and that's going to make it a bit easier. Now, we also had Democratic Republic of Congo. I may never have heard of this, but if I look at the whole sentence, like I did with the previous proper noun, I can see the prepositional phrase in the. Therefore, I know this is a place. Does it matter if I don't know if it's a country, a city or a town? At the moment, no, not really. But if I found I needed to know, I could ask my teacher. So when we see a proper noun, look at the whole sentence and try and figure out, is it a place, is it a thing, or is it a person? So with any proper nouns, I just need to try and work that out first. Next, let's talk about unfamiliar vocabulary. Maybe I didn't know the phrase shield volcano. If I'm on my own, I could try to work it out from the rest of the sentence, but actually, how reliable is this? Sometimes it is easier to ask myself the following questions. Does this word remind me of something else? Does it have any prefixes or suffixes which I can decode? Just in case we're not quite confident here, prefixes are the parts of the words that go at the front. They get added onto a word to change the meaning, and the suffix goes at the end, and again it just changes the meaning a little bit. So if I ask myself these questions before I try to figure out what the word is from the sentence, then I have a lot more chance. In this case, I know a shield is something a knight or a warrior might have, which is a shallow dome shape. So could this be some kind of volcano which has a similar shape? I don't have any useful prefixes or suffixes here in the word shield volcano, but when I read the whole text with the first question in mind, we have already been told the shape of the first volcano. It was steep-sided. So it makes sense to be told the shape of the second one, as well as the first one. Third problem, complex sentences. So that third sentence there, Niragongo and the shield volcano of Niamuragira, 40 kilometres away, are part of the East African Rift Valley. It is doubly difficult because of the embedded subclause. When I see a pair of commas working together like this in that third sentence, I can take out the subclause and see if it makes more sense. Let's do that. Niragongo and the shield volcano of Niamuragira are part of the East African Rift Valley. That makes a lot more sense. When you see a complex sentence, sometimes you might find that you want to rearrange it until it makes more sense. Finally, let's talk about homophones. I have got a few words here which I know, but which don't make a lot of sense. I've got active, I've got faults, I've got plates. The first time I read this, my mental model, that picture that I built up in my head, wouldn't make much sense if I imagined someone doing exercise, someone blaming someone, or some dinner plates, which I could easily do with the words active, fault, and plates. If this doesn't make sense, then it is worth a reread. Before you start panicking, before you start asking anyone, just reread it again and think, could this actually be a homophone? Could this actually be a different word? If it doesn't make sense, then reread it and ask yourself, could it be a homophone? And if you don't know the answer, then ask your teacher. That is what we are here for in secondary school, and we know that there are going to be some unfamiliar things, and that's why we're here to help. Now I want you to reread these 4 sentences. If you've got a pen or a pencil to hand, I would suggest that instead of trying to do a mental picture, a picture in your head, try doing one on a piece of paper. Just try and sketch it out, or even, if you'd like, just do a doodle to show the information we've got in these 4 sentences. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do this. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully you've had time to just do a quick sketch. Sometimes that is really helpful in lessons because trying to make these mental models is quite challenging sometimes. So if you do have the ability to do a little quick sketch in your class book, that is definitely a good idea. It would be absolutely lovely to see the sketches or doodles that you've done for this. So please do share them with us through our email address transition@wangels.wokingham.sch.uk if you can. Right, so let's think about what reading tasks actually look like in our lessons. This is more the kind of thing that you would expect to see from your lesson. What do you think we are going to find out? What are the main points? And then write a summary of the main points. You might need to use the strategies we've just gone through on your own in order just to decode that text. Some of the Key Stage 3 texts will be that bit more challenging than what you're currently used to. So your teachers will know those strategies that I've just gone through with you, and they might prompt you to use them if they feel that they would help. But one of the big differences in secondary school is that we would expect you to have that bit more independence to use the strategies and to know when you need to use them personally. So please do just bear those in mind. Now, when we get to comprehension questions, these are similar to what you're used to in primary school. So use the words from the question to help you frame the answer. In this case, we're thinking about the volcano is in ... The volcano is called ... The volcano happens because ... So we do want to use those words from the questions in order to help. Writing those summaries. This is something that you will see us ask you quite frequently, to write a quick summary of the main points that you have just gone through. So the final step here, writing a summary, can look a few different ways. It might be like this, or it could be to draw a picture of the information, as I've just asked you to do, or it could be to write it in a different form, such as turning the information that you've just read into a diary entry, or a newspaper article, or a story from the volcano's point of view. Before you are asked to write a summary, your teachers will teach you how to do this in your own words. For today, I'm going to move on to more general writing skills because you're going to get quite a lot of input from the reading when you join us. A typical question that you might get in Key Stage 3 across all your subjects would be to take some complex information and analyse or evaluate it. This means taking the information apart to see the deeper issues or weighing up the information and making a judgment. Firstly, we have to make sure that we understand the information given to us using the same strategies that we just went through. So let's go through those steps again now to practice. Firstly, let's think about what we already know about volcanic eruptions. Our geography lessons have probably taught us this before that we've actually done this task, and they've probably taught us that during an eruption there is a lava flow, there is volcanic ash which is shot into the sky, and there are gases that are released. We are going to read this next section of text looking at the social impacts of the eruption. These are the effects on the people. So again, we're just going to spend a minute predicting what we might find out about the effects on people from this new bit of text, this next bit of text. Again, if you'd rather put it in the chat box, please feel free, and I'd love to see your ideas. You have got 1 minute. Off you go. Okay, we've got some lovely ideas coming through. I say lovely, I mean the ideas themselves are not very nice ideas, but it's nice to see people sharing. So one effect, very simply, that people will die from volcanic eruptions, but also that houses will get destroyed. Thank you very much for sharing those. So yeah, you're absolutely correct. Those are two things that we could expect to see in this next bit of text that we are going to read. So thinking about what we might come across in this text, we'll probably find out about the immediate effects of the lava, the longer term effects of the ash and the gases, and what the people might have had to do and how this might have gone wrong. So we're going to spend 2 minutes now reading through, this is the next bit here, and learning about the effects on people. So please remember as you read through this to look out for proper nouns, look out for unfamiliar vocabulary, look out for complex sentences, and look out for homophones. And those are the strategies that we just went through. So 2 minutes, work through that next section and try having a go at using those strategies. 1 minute, 2 minutes, sorry, off you go. Right, hopefully you've had a chance just to read through that. If you didn't get through all of it, then don't worry. So the words which may have caused us problems in this bit might have been ash. Now ash is a fine powder of ground up rocks and sometimes soot as well, so it's not very nice. Goma is a proper noun, so this is going to be a place, a thing or a person. Now in this case, the preposition around makes me think it's a place. Aid agencies are charities which look after people. Access is being able to get around somewhere. Cholera is a disease. This is one of the words which your teachers would definitely pre-teach you. We would not expect you to know the word cholera as you come into year 7, very particular to certain topics that you would do. Sanitation you might have come across, but not necessarily. We would pre-teach that one as well. So sanitation is also a word which is to do with cholera. It causes it, sorry, the lack of sanitation would cause cholera. It means cleanliness. Okay, so it's cleanliness being sanitary. Siphon is the last word that you may have struggled with. It means to take away. So if you siphon off petrol, you are taking away petrol from a nearby petrol station. Usually it's to do with liquids. So well done if you got any of those correct. Really, really well done to you. Let's answer some questions to check that we understand the text. Here we go. So have a go at answering these 3 comprehension questions I will give you 2 minutes. See if you can answer these 3 questions in full sentences. Okay, 2 minutes, off you go. Okay, so don't worry if you didn't get all 3 of those answered in that time, but I hope you gave them a good go. We're going to have a look now at how we would approach a Key Stage 3 type question. Most of our Key Stage 3 type questions will also summarise for us, which is part of the process of understanding a text anyway, so it actually fits together quite nicely. So we would start by looking at the question that we are being asked to answer. So here we have to explain the effects of our volcanic eruption on the human population. So the first question I need to ask myself is, what information do I need to answer this question? I would probably need to know how many people were killed, how many homes were destroyed, and what happened to the people. If this is a printout, I could highlight the information that I need really quickly and easily, and we do encourage you in secondary school to bring along a set of highlighters for just such a reason. If you don't have a highlighter, you can just underline it using a normal pen. Of course, if it isn't a handout, if it's in a textbook or something, that's not something that we can do. So we would need to maybe just make a little note in our exercise books or something similar. Once we have thought about the information that we need from the text in order to answer the question, we want to think about the kinds of words which will help us most in answering this question. What I'd like you to do now is to spend 1 minute writing down any words which you feel you should include in your answer. And you might want to think about some of the words in the question that would really be quite helpful. So 1 minute, again, if you want to put it in the Q&A box, feel free to put it in there if you'd rather. What words should we include in our answer? Off you go. So now that I've hopefully got a few words that I'm going to aim to include, I next am going to think about sentence starters. Sometimes your teachers will give you some sentence starters to try to include. Other times they will leave it up to you. And the older you get, the less often your teachers will be giving you these sentence starters. So for this question, we'd think about how ideas would link together. Now, because of time today, I'm going to just, I'm afraid, skip through this next bit. I was going to give you some time to suggest some sentence starters, but like I said, I'm afraid for time today, we're going to have to kind of scooch along a little bit. So some of the ones we could look at, some sentence starters we might use, might be the immediate effects of the eruption was, or I could say afterwards, the lava then. I might start a sentence with consequently, people then. But what I'm going to be doing in my sentence starters is really showing how my different ideas link together. Now, if I had my list of words, and thank you for someone shared some there. If I had my list of words to include, and I had a list of sentence starters to include, and I knew what information I need from that text in order to answer it, putting it all together should be a bit easier. Of course, spelling, punctuation and grammar are also incredibly important, and I know we haven't touched on this today. I know your teachers spend a lot of time with you currently looking at this. It doesn't change in secondary school. We expect most Year 7 students to be able to write sentences which make sense and have correct capital letters, full stops, commas and spelling. If we have a student who doesn't quite manage to do it all the time, then we'll be having a quick look at what intervention we could put in place. Now this brings us to the end of my session today. So here's a list of the strategies that you can use when you're reading or writing, and really think about those tasks as you'll set them throughout the entire curriculum, no matter what subject you are sitting in. You will find that some of these are used in lesson, but as I said earlier, it's part about being independent, so start using these independently to help you. I would love to see some of your work from today, so if you are able to, please scan it in and send us an email to the transition email address, which is transition@wangels.wokingham.sch.uk. Otherwise, we very much look forward to seeing you in September. We really can't wait to meet you. So take care and we will see you soon. Thank you very much, guys. See you in September.